guys. I'm Jessica Mulder, and this is the Hard Way Pod, the podcast about learning from your mistakes. Today, I've got a great guest, Betsy Cox from the Funny Don't Stop on Dash Radio show. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Betsy's a really funny comedian. Haven't seen her in a while since she's been doing this show. Hasn't been at my show, but I'm glad to see you and glad to have you.
Yeah.
And to talk about your hard way lessons today. Real quick before we get started, and I'm going to let Betsy go first. I learned a hard way. Don't be on the computer for 15 hours a day working on stuff, no matter how excited you are, because for the listeners who can't see, I've got a wrist brace on that I just got today because I've overdone it, you guys. I've gone and overdone it, and now my arm hurts. It's like my elbow. I basically gave myself tennis elbow, but it's computer elbow, and it's like carpal tunnel mixed with tendonitis. It's a nightmare. So now I have to like kind of work with this, but they're saying try not to work, and I'm like, well, I'm a designer, so I kind of have to. But
that's crazy.
I know. It sucks a lot. But one of the
so
things,
painful.
Yeah, it really is. And I've been icing it and trying to I took a couple days off last week because I was like, I just can't bend my arm and just be doing these little motions. I need to let it rest and actually not do anything for a couple days. And it was starting to get a little bit better, but still not quite. Because even bending my arm when I'm playing Scrabble on my phone, which I love to do. It's my relaxation move. I'm I can't even play Scrabble now. So now I gotta hold it out here. I'm probably gonna go blind because I have to hold it with my arms straight. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not a fun time. Yeah.
Probably no more games on your phone or computer. Just work.
No more Scrabble for a little bit. But I'm gonna go to physical therapy too, and so hopefully that'll help because I don't have time for this shit, man. A lot of stuff to do. So
yeah, that sucks. I know that the carpal tunnel is the most painful thing ever. If people don't know, it's you can't. It feels like your hand is so fat you cannot move it.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's zingy pains, and you press one spot, and it shoots somewhere else. I'm like, why is everything connected but badly?
Yeah,
let's make this work. So Betsy, do you find that you learn things the hard way a lot?
I have lived my life learning every single thing that I know today the hard way.
Yes, samesies, dude. So you're going to be a great guest to have on here. You told me a little bit, barely about the story you're going to tell. So that's why I'm going to let you go first so I can hear it and then can kind of come up with something that's somewhat similar because we like to keep the topics in similar veins. So when I title it, I don't have to have several things, but we'll see how it goes. I'd just love to hear it. Let's hear the one that you wanted to tell us today.
Okay, here goes. So in high school, I worked at this boutique, and she paid me $3 an hour. And
Wow.
Cash. But she gave me free ballroom dance lessons. And that was a huge thing because I wanted to be a dancer, but I couldn't afford dance classes. So
oh my God, this is a premise for a movie. I'll give you $3 an hour and one ballroom class. Yeah. That's amazing.
It totally. So I am always, and you know that I'm so nice and talkative, and I'm like, well, what do you need?
Yeah.
But you really got to be careful about being too open, saying too much, and too nice to people, and pay attention very closely to your surroundings.
Yeah.
Because I was young when I ran this boutique, and I was the only one there, and I locked up, and I had an older brother, and he was as loony as a toonie. If you looked at me a little too long, he could possibly walk up to you and cold cock you in the face.
Wow.
He was so crazy, so possessive, and just crazy about me and my sisters. So I was working at the boutique.
You were running it. How old were you?
Yeah, I was 14 still because when I turned 15, I legally got a job at Hooters as a hostess, and I made minimum wage.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I was going to say, how old did you have to be that she didn't have to pay you minimum wage?
Right.
But, yeah, okay, wow.
14. I worked since I was 11.
Yeah. Growing up fast.
Let's talk about that hard way.
Yeah, right? Oh, my God.
Hard way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I've been working my whole life. But, so I'm at this boutique, And this guy comes in, and I hang up the phone with one of my friends I'm on the phone with from high school. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, well, let me help you. Showing him all this stuff, trying to get a sale. Like, it's not even my boutique.
Yeah.
Why do I care? Why? So he wants to know where something is. And I'm like, okay, so if you just go straight all the way down, there's a back room and it's there. And he's like, oh, am I going the right way? And I'm like, yeah. So I get up to walk him to the back room, and he's following me. And there's this huge rack, and it's a square room.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I backed myself into the corner, so I go around the rack the other way to get out. And he starts talking to me, and he's like, asking, where I go to school, what grade I'm in, what I'm gonna do when I'm done with school. And I'm so dumb. Like, I'm overly sharing. I'm like, I'm obsessed with Linda Evangelista, and I want to move to New York.
Oh my God. So you just give up way too much information. Right. You're like in this closet with this old man.
Telling him everything. And I'm totally like, I need to keep my body in shape if I'm ever going to be like Linda Evangelista. Do you know who she is?
No.
Oh, God.
Is it a ballroom dancer?
A supermodel.
Oh, wow.
You would know her. She's in I can't think of his name. Michael, what's wrong with me? I gotta have faith, the faith.
Oh, George Michael.
George Michael.
Yes.
She's in that video with all the hot supermodels.
Oh.
She's like, I'm obsessed with her. Okay. So I'm sitting here yibbity yapping about moving to New York and starting a model. Meanwhile, I look like a Southern country bumpkin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and he starts getting like walking close to me, and I'm just like backing up, and I'm like, well, here are the shirts. But it was so close to me that I was like totally uncomfortable. And I have this thing where I start to like shake if people get too close to me, because I feel trapped and panic.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and he's just saying things like, oh, well, you look fabulous to me. Like, I could totally see you. And why would I be having this conversation with someone anyway in a boutique alone in a back? That, like, so I'm totally freaked out by this point. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, and the only thing that's going through my head is you gotta hurry up and go to the right and get out of here. So as he keeps moving closer, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do something. And
you're still like being too nice to this creepy man.
I'm still not saying like back up. Yeah. Like I'm going to scream, not that anyone would ever hear me, because it's just not that type of place, but
scary.
There's like a hairdresser next door, but it's just really, it's not. No one would hear me. So I run to the front and I call my girlfriend, and I'm like, stay on the phone with me and be ready to call 911.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, I know that my brother is coming to pick me up from work that day. So all I can think is, please let him get out of here before Tommy comes in.
Oh, because you don't want him to get killed.
I don't want him to get killed. I would be scared.
Like, get him killed. He's creepy. I'm just like, I don't even know this man.
Oh my God. My brother went to jail so many times for fighting. I feel like I would die.
Yeah.
So so he leaves. He walks out, and I'm on the phone. I'm like, bye.
Yeah.
And I am on the phone with my girlfriend, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy is like the creepiest guy. I'm telling her the whole story, and I'm like, I'm so freaked out. Like, as I'm starting to tell her the story, this woman and her baby, she's holding a baby, walks in and is looking around. And I'm going on and on and on. I'm like, I'll be with you in 1 second, because now I'm terrified he's going to come back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what should I do? I don't even know. I think I'm just like, Tommy's going to be here soon. Like, I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. And then she has to go, so I hang up with her. And the woman walks up to the counter and says to me, I heard what you were telling your friend, and you need to call the police on that guy. And I was like, do you think? Like, I don't know. Like, it was awkward. Like, I just don't like how he was getting really close to me and in my space. She's like, it is frightening. You're here alone.
Yeah.
No man should ever be walking that close to you. Like, she's like, if he comes back, you need to call the police on him.
Right.
And I'm like, oh,
Right, because
geez,
did he even
great.
buy anything?
No, he didn't buy anything.
And he just like knew about the shirts in the back. What the fuck is that
yeah,
about?
it was so creepy. He was such a creeper.
Yeah.
You know, and I am not really scared or creeped out by anyone. Like, men are creepy, and I'm like, yeah, you're not that bad.
Yeah.
But this guy was creepy. She was going off about it. Like, totally not having it, right? So, guess what? He walks back into the boutique, and the ding dong, and I turn around. I see him, and I jump behind her, and I'm like, oh my God, that's him.
Oh my God. So he hears you, obviously.
He hears me, and then she goes, what? That's my husband.
Oh my God. No.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Now I have him looking at me. She's like jumps from in front of me with the baby, is now crying. And she's like, tell me the story again. No. You said you were backing up into her. It was like a full fight. He's like, what are you talking about? Cool as a cucumber.
Oh, what a piece of shit.
Totally cool. He's like, totally. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Gaslighting.
He's like, so wait, I was walking into you? No, I don't think so. Next thing you know, my brother walks in, and I'm like, get out of the store. I literally was freaking out. I was like, get out. Tommy's like, what is going on? What is going on? No. And he's like, did somebody do something to you? I'm like, no. I'm like, Tommy, please, you need to get them out. We literally had to physically push them out of the store, lock the door. I jumped in his car.
Oh,
but
God.
like, that is one of the scariest situations, like as a high school kid. And then now the wife's there. Now you're in the middle of the craziest triangle. She's screaming at you.
Oh my God.
He's like a total sociopath, acting like nothing.
Acting like you're just like a dumb kid that's like making up stories. Dude, and so she starts taking his side and starts turning on you then too?
No, she was trying to really dig into the story now, because she was like, oh my God, she had this new baby. But she probably, when you get married to someone, you kind of have to know.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I would think, but then again, I mean, I'm divorced and there's a lot of shit that I didn't know going into it. So people, and he's a sociopath too. So like people are
Is
good.
he a sociopath?
Yeah. I think he's a narcissist is what my therapist that was also his when we did the couples therapy thing diagnosed him as. But he always diagnosed himself a sociopath. And I believe it because he's just like that. Just very like able to talk himself out of anything, not really feeling remorse for stuff, that sort of stuff. And just like doing shitty things and making excuses,
It's so crazy.
That's crazy. Like, especially because like she was so adamant about calling the police, and then it's like, uh-oh, that's my husband. Now it's like she's gotta reconcile that in her brain. Be like, this is a dude that could get the cops called on him because he's backing 14-year-old girls into a corner in a back room of a boutique. That's gross.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I'm married, and I promise you, if this should happen with my husband, I'd be like, you can stay in this boutique tonight. Goodbye. Make sure you don't walk through the front door. Like, done.
No,
done.
That's crazy.
Any kind of creepy, any kind of overly close to minor, absolutely not. No.
Well, it's already just still creepy with anybody, but like crazy town that you were working alone at that young age, but like just even as an older man alone with a younger woman, it's like you shouldn't be that stupid, because even if he doesn't mean anything badly by it and has like a bad sense of boundaries, it's like, bro, you better watch yourself before you get the cops called on you.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I know. It's weird. It's like he should know.
Yeah.
And was he really looking at stuff? No, because the second I got out of the back room, it's funny how 2 seconds later, I just picked up the phone and just got on the phone, and he's walking out of the store.
Yeah, not even buying anything. Yeah, that's so weird.
That's so weird. It's so weird. But, I didn't know what a narcissist was.
Oh, man.
Until I had been in a web of one.
Oh.
And not a guy, a girlfriend.
Oh, really?
Who, yeah. I had never heard of this term or anyone, and someone goes, ooh, you're dealing with a narcissist.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is that?
Oh, my God. Well, yeah, because it's like when people think of being a narcissist, they just think like, oh, you're full of yourself. But it's like, no, it's more of like a dangerous person who's kind of like will do anything to protect their image, and that means taking people down and being a liar and like gaslighting people and just really being selfish, but outwardly always trying to maintain their good appearance, you know?
Yeah.
And so half the time they come off as like really caring and really nice and like thoughtful people, but it's like, no, once you start seeing them have to like cover their ass enough, you're like, oh, this is like, they're gonna do whatever to look good, and it's gonna take you down with them, so you can't be around those people. So what was the girlfriend doing that, and how did you find that out?
Oh, that was a nightmare of a situation. That was like I just feel like I am I mean, and I will say this, I'm sort of a people pleaser, but not to be like, oh my God, I need to please everyone, but like I'm a nice person.
Yeah.
So, and I'm very friendly with people, and I just don't want to be, and I'm giving because you know, I mean, I grew up without a lot, and I always feel like, oh, I like to give a lot, you know.
Which that's like the prime target for a narcissist, because they're like, oh, this person is like maybe a little gullible too, because they're too nice and they're too, you know, open. You know, that's like the type of person that's like, oh, I'm gonna find out everything about you and then use it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so I was just given, and I realized like this person is trying to make me look terrible, look like the star, use me, take everything they could get from me. I just felt like sucked to the bone.
Oh, man.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was such a sad situation to have happened, but it is what it is. And you know what? It's unfortunate that I remember feeling like, oh God, all these people think that I'm like psychotic because of what she has done.
Yeah.
To like make me look as bad as possible.
Yeah, and especially if after you've been giving to her and like probably she's acting like your best friend, that's gotta be like a really tough thing to deal with.
I can't even go into it because I've never even had the narcissistic talk with her. I just kind of just let it go.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, every single person she was friends with, same thing. All one trickled down one by one. And I ran into one of them and I was like, it's just funny because you were the one that got the worst, and we all knew when we were. And I remember, like, when I met you, I was like, "Why would she say those awful things about her?
Yeah.
This girl seems so cool."
Yeah,
you know. What
well, that's the thing. They're always talking shit. Like my ex did that to me too. Like once we were getting divorced, I remember I had a couple of my friends that were still in that group and were still my friends, but a lot of people stopped talking to me, and I was kind of like, oh, I thought these people were my friends. Like, what the fuck's going on? And then I learned that he's going around, like, telling this sob story that, like, you know, I was, like, ruining his self-esteem and, like, you know, with my depression, just, like, I was, like, ruining his life, and I was crazy and making him out to be the bad guy when all he was doing was try to be there for me. And just, like, it's like, no, bro, like, you were selfish and, you know, yeah, certainly I was depressed, but like when you're depressed and you're with your spouse, like the thing they shouldn't be doing is like using it against you as something that's hurting them and like sending me links to articles about how depression affects your spouse. And I'm like, well, how about if you didn't like emotionally manipulate and gaslight and cheat on me and then make me think I was crazy, maybe I wouldn't be so depressed. And like, you know, it was to the point where I was so confused about what was going on because I was always being told like my memory was wrong, that like I started getting like daily ocular migraines with like those like visual auras, and like I wouldn't be able to see for like 20 minutes a day because of it. And it's like, oh, like you have so many problems, like I can't deal with this sort of stuff, like. And it's like then you go around and tell everybody that, you know, I'm a mess and I'm, you know, emotionally abusive to you, that I'm crazy. And it's like, well, now nobody's talking to me with the exception of a couple people that knew he was full of shit because they'd heard me tell actual things and been like, here's what I'm trying to do to deal with this, and still like not talking shit about him. It's like the person that's going around trying to like create the narrative. It's like, pay attention to that, because like I didn't tell anybody anything about him other than like, this is it, you know, we're getting divorced, and he's the one like controlling the narrative. And it's like, no wonder.
Yeah, but he was basically, what he was doing is probably just beating you down.
Yeah.
Till you were depressed.
Right.
Till you felt nothing. And
right. Always telling me like that, you know, things that I weren't good enough and all this stuff. Like, oh, should you really be doing that? Seems like a waste of time. Just like these little things, that just kind of made me feel defeated. And just like to boot, then to go around and tell everybody that I knew in the area that there was something wrong with me, and he had to get away because he couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't take my abuse anymore. And I'm like, my abuse,
right?
Jesus, yeah. Oh my God,
love that.
Fucking narcissist. Well, I'm glad you got away from that, because like once I got away from him, I never got one of those migraines again. So like things can like physically happen to you when you're like feeling emotionally cornered and in like a bad situation.
Oh my God, it makes you physically sick.
Yeah,
to be around
and
someone.
And then when I'm sick, there's a new problem. It's like, oh, of course, it's always something, and it's like, well, fuck, I can't even feel comfortable telling you what's wrong with me because you're gonna say that it's like making you feel bad,
Oh, because everything's about him.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Because he's a narcissist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I have a couple things like that I can talk about, and like maybe you'll have more things that pop in your head, because I think it's really interesting, this whole dynamic of like being aware of your surroundings and not being too open and giving of information, because I know like, oh, there's one that I could really tell, but like I don't want to, because I don't want that person to hear it. There is that little like comedy politics thing. So I'll talk about like a couple things that one just like really creepy and gross, and the other one, like, luckily it turned out okay, but like similar to you, it was just like, that was really scary. I now need I need to pay more attention. So I was like probably maybe 24, 25, 26. I don't know. I'm bad with age. I was living in New York, so I was like mid 20s. And I was doing open mics a lot, like, 'cause when I was just starting out. So I was like doing the whole like go to 3 in a row, walk to the next place, whatever thing. And there was this comedian that I had just met, didn't really know that well, that like I'd see at mics a lot. And so he's like, oh, do you want to go to this like other one with me? So I'm like walking around New York, late, we go to a couple mics and we're drinking at each of them. So like getting progressively drunker as the night goes on with this dude that I don't really know that well. And we go to this like 11 p.m. mic somewhere. And like after that, like I remember feeling like I was pretty drunk to where I was like, oh, I want McDonald's, like whenever I'm real lit up, I'm like, give me some McDonald's. And McDonald's sponsor me. I feel like I talk about that shit all the time. And so we go like walk over to McDonald's, and I get like my Big Mac meal, whatever. And he's like, oh, we should go like walk on the bridge and eat this, because like I forget which bridge we were near, but there's like a lot of the bridges you can walk over on, like from Manhattan to Brooklyn. So we go up, we take the McDonald's like up onto the bridge, and we're like walking, and we end up like sitting probably like halfway through and like eating the food, and the couple times I'd been around him, like one of the reasons I felt more comfortable hanging out with him is he never really like was acting like creepily towards me in a way where I felt like, oh, he's into me like that, even though half the time they usually are, when you're a good looking, funny girl, whatever, like the dudes want to totally get it. Yeah. You're like, I know.
No, yeah. I mean, come on.
Hate to say it, but it's true. It's like they all want you. So, but I was like, okay, but at least he's not like putting his hand on me too much or like leaning in. We've been drinking, whatever. So anyway, we go onto the bridge and we're sitting on there, and it's like probably like midnight almost, and just hanging out, and he's like all of a sudden like leans in to try to kiss me, and I'm like, and I was like, no, I didn't mean to give you the wrong idea, like I'm not into you like that. And immediately I just remember feeling like, oh my God, I am in the middle of a bridge at midnight alone with this dude, and I've been drinking, he's been drinking, I don't really know him that well, nobody fucking knows I'm here, like he could rape me, he could murder me, he could anything me right now, and there's nothing I could fucking do about it. And I'm just like, I just remember feeling so terrified and being like, I can't even run away fast enough, like what would I do? And luckily that didn't happen. Like he was just like, oh, okay, no problem. But like there's been other people that I've dealt with that are like, come on, kind of trying to force it and whatever. So I was just like, I just remember getting a really big enlightening moment of being like, oh God, what situation have you put yourself into that is so dangerous that hopefully he's going to respond appropriately and not be like, why did you spend the whole night hanging out with me then? Why are we hanging out? Like
It's so weird because don't you notice, like, don't you think to yourself today, like, I'm lucky to be alive?
Yeah. So
Like-
so many situations like that where I'm just like, when you feel like you're sort of backed into that corner, figuratively or literally, you know, it's like, oh my God, how do I get out of this? There's no way out. I just have to hope that this other person isn't malicious and isn't going to try to hurt me.
I know.
You know, so that was a really big lesson that I was lucky wasn't worse than that, because luckily, like, I still, but it did change my behavior, because I was like, well, this is what you're not going to do. You're not going to go into a remote place at night in this loud ass city with a dude you barely know while drunk.
Yeah.
That could just like flip out on you for not giving him what he thinks he deserves, which happens
Right.
so often.
Yeah. Or chicks, to be honest
Yeah.
with you, that you barely know. I mean,
Yeah.
I will tell you, I watch a lot of that Forensic Files, and I have seen, and I'm like, damn, these bitches are vicious.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like that show I was watching, what is it? God, like, or my, what's like Murdered by My Wife or something. God,
yes,
what is
girl,
it? I
you know
forget
my
the name.
comedy
Yeah.
Snapped, Women Who Kill.
Oh, yeah.
My Wife,
Dude.
Passion.
Yeah. All of
What
those.
is it? Killing Passion Killings or something.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm like, please tell me about these women. And it's like, they're
Crime of Passion. Crimes of
I gotta check
Passion.
that one out, because it's like my ex-wife, the murderer. Fuck, I can't believe I'm not remembering the name of it right now. Something with wives and women murdering their husbands.
Hell yeah, and they probably deserve it.
Yeah, they usually deserve it, but it's also just like, wow, the things that they do and the way they get away with it for so long. It's like,
Yeah.
how could you even think of this? Like, I remember one of them was like, this woman like wrapped the dude up in like this fucking rug and like left him there for a couple days, because she's like, damn it, he's too heavy. I don't know how to. And it's like, you didn't think ahead, Janice. Like, you should have.
Oh, was she the one that had the garage dug out and redid the floor?
No.
Oh, okay.
This was one where it was like when they came back to find it, like, because I think she somehow convinced like a family member to help her move the body, and like, but like they were like, weird, she had this like line where her rug used to be, and like they were like, oh, did you have a rug? She's like, no. And it's like, clearly she did. So then they did all the testing underneath, and were like, there was blood under there, because she like clocked him over the head and he bled out on the rug.
Oh
And
my
then she just
God.
wrapped him in it, and then like was like, I'll just get rid of the rug now, you know. And it's like, but there's like the space with your dirty ass house where the rug used to be. Yeah.
What an idiot.
Yeah, I know. Get a new rug.
Don't you get so aggravated
Yeah.
with people like you gave?
You went through
Why
all
did
this.
you learn the hard way?
Yeah, right. And it's like she was already trying to poison him, but I guess it didn't work. So then she had to hit him with something. So her whole plan was supposed to be like clean, you know?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. And it's like an older lady. It's like, wow, he'll probably die soon. Just wait, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like at some point you got to be like, okay, just let him go.
I know.
Just let him go.
I know. Or just like leave. But oh my God, there's so many crazy ass people like that. It's so scary. Like when you think about the things people are capable of.
Yeah,
Oh my
you
God.
just don't know. You never know who you're dealing with, and you never know what people are capable of. We're like wild animals.
Yeah.
We really are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. And to think about hard ways, like I think making mistakes is such a good thing in life, you know? I mean, I feel like I remember when I moved from Miami to here, I had like $800 or something, and I got in my car, and I probably had $1,200 on a credit card, and I drove from Miami, went back home for a couple of days to New Orleans, and then drove here. I was staying in these hotels that like I had no money.
Yeah.
The second you walked in, you started itching.
Scabies, dude. Fucking scabies.
Those types of motels, and I'm like, what am I doing? I couldn't even tell you. I met this guy. I got a Gambit, and there was this room for rent in Compton, and this guy's like condo, and I took it. It was $350 a month, and I had exactly like $750 left over or something. So I maybe had like $50 to eat for the week, but I knew because I worked at Hooters for so long that I'd find a Hooters and just get a job.
Yeah.
You know, and pick up shifts anywhere I could. So I did that, but it was so funny because you're thinking like, you're really this dumb, like 19, 20, driving in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Like I drove on roads that were like long stretches. I stopped somewhere to get something to eat, and the guy said to me, I had one of my girlfriends with me. He said to me, if you drive this road, there is one gas station and that is it. And if you don't hit that gas station, honey, you're going to be on the side of the road and you're not going to get saved because it is miles.
Oh, that's so scary.
It's so, and my stupid ass is pulling over at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, nothing but truck drivers getting gas on that stretch.
Yeah.
Stopping in these rinky-dink motels. Like, what the hell was I thinking?
Oh my God. No, that's like, those motels like are so scary to me. And because like you're there alone and you have like the one old guy, probably that creepy old guy that works at the desk and is like, you're in room 3, you know, because there's like 5 rooms. And like some of the people probably fucking live there at those motels. They're probably murderers, you know. And they're like, who's this pretty, like, really nice girl, you know? Oh, my God.
So weird. And listen, this is my poor mom. I met this guy, and I remember going into the motel after I met him because I was like, well, I better get a motel for tonight because I don't know if I'm definitely taking this apartment. But I was taking the apartment. I just didn't know if this guy was a killer or not.
Yeah. How were you going to tell, Betsy?
Yeah. So he's a security guard at the airport, and I check into this motel because I'm going to follow him from the airport. So it's somewhere near that area.
Oh, I hate that. I hate the follow me, but maybe it was before they had the GPS thing.
I didn't even have a Thomas guide, no GPS. I'm old.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I literally check into this motel and this woman is like, no men. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I just moved here, so I don't have a boyfriend. This is how stupid I am.
Oh my God. She thought you were a prostitute.
Bingo. And she keeps saying, okay, and no men. And I'm like, again, like I just got here and I don't have a boyfriend.
Which makes it worse. She's like, I know, honey, you don't have a boyfriend. That's why you're going to be bringing in all the suitors. Yeah.
Oh my God. I did not even have a cell phone because this is not like, this is when those little teeny little, you know, and they were expensive.
Oh my God. And you're driving without a cell phone?
I'm
Betsy.
Yeah. No, because
surprised
now everybody has a cell phone. Back then,
Yeah.
it was like, I did have one for a little while in Miami, but I left it because it was not the same as it is here. You
can't like bring them around. Yeah.
Yeah. So I literally got here. Yeah. I called my mom and I said, Mom, I'm following this guy to this apartment. I think I'm going to take it. Now, he said it's going to take us 30 minutes or whatever to get there. If you don't hear from me that I'm alive in like an hour, this is the address. Call 911 and send them there. She's like, I want to effing kill you. But it was fine. It worked out. I love this guy. I lived there for like a year, went to the swap meet, got myself a red clear pager. Sometimes the hard way works out.
Yeah, for sure. But like, oh man, yeah, my mom would have killed me too. I had that like, that just made me think of this one situation where when I first moved to New York, I've told the story on another episode. I think it was episode 12 about, don't mix friends and money. And it was like it was me living with one of my friends from high school. And like, I moved into this room with her. And we had a huge falling out, and then I just needed a place to stay. So I ended up going to stay with my nanny from growing up, Joey, because she lived in Brooklyn, and so but she lived in Flatbush, Brooklyn, which is a little bit like more dangerous. There's a lot more like drugs going on around there, and it's not like the little white girl neighborhood. You know, it's like more like the black neighborhood, which is fine with me. Joey's black. I'm not worried about that, but maybe I should have been as like just a young person in New York at night, like I'm a young girl that doesn't really know where she's going. So for my mom, that's like a damn nightmare. And for me, I'm like, it's fine. If Joey can live here, I can live here. She can handle it. So like I was like sleeping on my futon mattress on her floor, and she mostly like worked somewhere like during the week because she worked with a family like nannying and stuff. And so I remember like going out and getting just like shithouse drunk one night, and there weren't Ubers yet, I don't think, because this was way early. I think I just moved there, so it's probably like 23, 24. And I took like a taxi home to her place, but he dropped me off like not in the right spot. And it was probably like 2 a.m. and like Joey's like texting me like, where the hell are you? Your mom's gonna kill me, like, you know. And I'm like, I don't know where I am, you know. And I didn't know where I was because I kind of like was turned around because he didn't drop me off in the right spot, so I had no clue where the fuck I was going.
Oh my God.
And just like drunk at 2 a.m. in Brooklyn, like in not the good neighborhood, you know. There's like dealers like hanging out outside and whatever, and suddenly like there's this big dude that's like, hey, you look lost, you know. And I'm just like, uh-oh, you know, this is it, you know. I'm gonna die. and then he's like, you shouldn't be walking around here. Where are you trying to go? And he literally like walks me, and like she's waiting for me, like screaming like, Jesse, what the fuck are you doing, you know. But like he's like, don't let her wander around here, because he saw how dangerous it was, and he actually like helped me find where I was supposed to go, which was super lucky, because it could have been a whole different situation. Like so many times I've been out and like had people yell things and like seemed like they were not, you know, just like not on my side, or like not welcoming of me. And this guy actually was like, okay,
let me help you.
Please don't turn down one of these streets because you'll probably get killed, you know? Yeah. So I'm going to take you home. And luckily he could walk me, and it didn't have to get in a car, because I would have been like, well, fuck, I'm not trusting this dude. But then what else am I supposed to do?
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
That was really sweet.
That was lucky. Yeah.
I grew up in this like fairy tale neighborhood in a shack. And then I lived in a neighborhood, like a really rough ass neighborhood, like crime riddled. We had like cop trailers, you know, on the street over, and you just like literally, I used to walk down the street all the time, you know, and you just think, I mean, people would be like, white girl, what the fuck are you doing up there? I'm like, I'm going to Taco Bell.
It's like when you do that, you get like too comfortable, you know, in like the danger zone, you know?
Yeah. Well, I ended up making some friends, you know, in my neighborhood. But I mean, it was still, it was a rough neighborhood. It was a really bad neighborhood, but I had a lot of friends there. And it ended up being like, you know, it was like the funnest time of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's good though, that like there's like redeeming things that, you know, it's not just like automatically, oh, you're murdered, you know? Because like we ended up in that neighborhood getting an apartment together after her lease ended, and I lived there for about a year and a half, and I really, you know, I liked it, and I never had any real issues. It was just like that first time I was like, uh-oh, you better be careful. But like nobody ever really messed with me. Nobody ever made me feel uncomfortable. And like, if anything, I'd had like more issues in like the nicer neighborhoods.
That's what I try to tell people all the time. When I lived in Compton, the most that happened is like getting my window kicked in. Like I had to slam on my brakes to FBI running across my car with their guns blazing. But
oh my God.
Because I'm from New Orleans, I look back now and I think like, maybe I should have been like, well, Bets, you know, because it was FBI. But I am from New Orleans. So I just never think like anything's that big of a deal crime-wise. But then you see these other neighborhoods. Yeah. And that's like really where the crime is, you know, like in Venice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. You get held up at gunpoint like every day there.
That's crazy. Yeah, because that's the thing is like I grew up in South Florida, and like because everything's crazy there, you know, that I had a joke I used to do. I haven't done it in a while, that talked about like how my danger gauge is broken because of Florida. Like my comfort zone is like cocaine in an alley with a stranger, because like there's just not used to like everything's so extreme that when it's like kind of bad to other people, you're like, what do you mean? This is normal, you know? But like meanwhile, I'm in like the bad neighborhood, and the guy's showing me how to get home, but my friend who lives in Chelsea in the nice neighborhood like gets robbed at the gourmet market, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, shit, that's not what you'd expect, and that's where your guard would be down. So I'm assuming that that's where the criminals go, because they're like, oh, nobody's gonna be on their game here. You know? They're gonna think, totally. They're gonna think they're safe, and they're fucking not.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Because the least you have to worry about is, I mean, if you're getting robbed, okay, that sucks. But like, at least you're not getting killed.
Yeah.
You know, and by the way, Florida is like the #1 place where serial killers are born.
Oh,
like
I believe it.
The most come out of Florida. But it's huge state.
Yeah.
But still, so is New York, California. Like Florida is serial killer nation.
Is there a documentary that's like Florida Killers? Because I want to watch that shit. I'll be like, do I know any of you? Yeah.
Google serial killers from Florida.
Oh my God. That's so scary.
So crazy.
I believe it though. I don't know why, but like Florida's so weird. Like that's why there's that whole like Florida man thing. 'Cause it's like people are just doing the craziest shit in Florida. And I don't know what that's about, but like, I mean, I grew up really fast down there too.
Yeah.
You know, people were partying at a very young age, not a lot of supervision, but lots of access to drugs for some reason. Like,
Oh yeah.
as a 14-year-old, I had like a delivery service. It was this like old man in a van that would drive around and like give kids drugs. And
That's great.
I know.
That is a movie.
Yeah, we called him Old Man Tom, and it was so fucked up because like when you were like I'd call him on my little portable phone because like we didn't have cell phones. I'm like 14, 15. I call this number.
Like the cordless phone?
Yeah, the cordless phone. Yeah, and I'm
God.
sitting in my driveway like a little heathen, and I call the guy, and I'm like, yeah, I need this, and I need this. And he'd show up, and he always had a hat and sunglasses on, and he'd like have his window rolled just enough so you couldn't see his face. And he like, until he got to know you, you weren't allowed in his van, but it was like a van, an old man, creepy drug van. And it was like some of my friends from middle school and high school, they didn't go to mine, but like there were people I knew from middle school that went to like the other high school, like the public high school, because I went to the Catholic one, which guys had more drugs available, by the way, and fancier ones. But like they'd run out and give you this stuff so that you wouldn't have to see him. But I remember like one of the times when I called him, he was like, they were like calling me in, and then I like got in the van with them, and it was like my little friend that I knew from middle school. And then the guy in the front that's like, hey, what's going on? He was like this creepy old, like 60-year-old man. And he drove around the block while he gave me some drugs. And then he dropped me back off at home. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so when I come to like anywhere else, when I moved anywhere else, like people are like, you did what? You had what? I'm like, oh, it's not normal to have that shit.
No, that is not normal.
No,
that is so weird.
I know. I don't even understand how that worked. But I don't know what happened to him either, because I think that I just got like other drug dealers that I knew.
How did this guy not go, I'm going to go to jail any somebody's going to pull me over for child molestation with kids in the car.
Well, because the rumors were that like he always wanted boys in his car because he liked boys.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like and he'd find, and like the dudes that worked with him, one of them, I don't know what happened, but my friend, and it was actually one of my ex-boyfriends, he ended up like dying and overdosing years later. And so it's like, thinking this guy got them all fucked up so that they'd work for him, you know.
Work for him or do what?
Yeah, or do what, exactly.
Okay.
Right, but they're just driving around in this gross van with this old guy all day, like being the face of the drugs because they're the ones running out.
Oh my God.
You know, and they're the ones like answering the phone. So it's like he's kind of like using them as like the barrier. But I don't know what ever happened to that guy because, yeah, the other guy died and, you know, I just never, you know, I didn't get anything from him anymore. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
But there are tons of drugs in Florida.
Yeah, tons of drugs.
Miami.
Yeah, that's true. They come in through Miami. Yeah, but also like tons of pharmaceuticals. Like that guy would sell ecstasy. He'd sell weed, he'd sell pills, he'd sell cocaine. It's like just the weirdest setup, the craziest shit that I'm like, I don't even know how I figured that. Well, I do because it was my friend from middle school, but it's like, how did they get into that? Where does he find his like new people? It's fucked up.
So I don't know if I've ever told this story on a podcast. I really don't. But I mean, I know that I've talked about working for a penile enlargement doctor.
What?
Yeah.
Is it a pump? Do you pump it?
No,
Oh.
It's actually they cut a ligament. You wear a stretching device. You get 1 to 2 inches, and they can widen it with Alloderm.
Oh my goodness!
And this guy from Florida, I probably should. I'm not gonna say.
Don't say his name.
I would never say his name, but I probably shouldn't even say that. But it was so weird because his penis was bigger than this microphone, like about as fat as this. Okay. And he would always brag about how he can only hook up with women who have had like 4 or 5 kids because his, brajol is so big.
Brajol? I've never heard that. Is that a penis?
It's a bread.
Oh,
It's Italian.
It's Italian bread, Jessica. Get with it. That's what I'm calling it from now on. I'm gonna go home and tell my boyfriend, "Let me see a brajol," and he's gonna be like, "What the fuck is that?"
But he was from Florida, and he would sell. It was called herbal ecstasy, and it was huge in Florida.
What?
And they could call it herbal ecstasy because they made it with drugs from other countries that were unknown by the FDA.
Oh, God.
So they weren't,
so they hadn't caught him yet, like with the salvia
Right.
thing. They were like, this is legal because we haven't had a bad enough thing happen to where we had to make it illegal.
Right,
Yeah.
like GHB.
Yeah.
Remember everybody was taking GHB
Yeah.
before they went to bed, and it
Yeah.
would get them shredded,
Yeah.
bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And then GHB, everybody was in a G-hole dying.
Oh, my God. No, that was crazy. I remember trying that once. Yeah.
GHB?
Yeah.
I
Not
never-
fun. I didn't like that because I was just like, I passed out and what happened? Who the fuck knows?
I thought if I do drugs, I know I'm going to die. And I smoked pot a few times,
Yeah.
but literally I'm so, Jess, I am such a fucking paranoid person.
No, that's good though. I think that's good that you don't do drugs. Like
don't
I should be
know.
dead from all the stuff I've done. Obviously, I don't do it anymore, but like maybe I'll smoke a little bit of weed before bed if I'm like really amped up and not getting tired because I'll have anxiety or whatever. But that's rare, and like people are like, they smoke weed all day every day, and I'm like, I cannot do that. I would not get anything done.
Yeah.
I could get like $40 worth of weed to last me several months, because I really don't smoke very much. But
I think it's good though to smoke weed before you go to bed, because I think it does really help with sleep.
yeah.
And inflammation in the body,
Yeah.
which is like,
That's crazy because like I have all these like creams that I put on my arm, or like when I'm having the pain, like lidocaine and biofreeze and whatever. It's like all over the counter shit, but it's like icy hot type stuff.
yeah.
And it's like works okay, but I found this like weed balm the other day that I got like it's for free one time that I got some weed, and it's like got THC and CBD in it. And I put that on, and that worked the best compared to all the other like pharmaceutical chemical things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with your hand, you should smoke weed right now.
yeah.
I just know because my back's bad.
Yeah.
And I smoked it once, but I had a paranoid attack.
Yeah. See, that's why I can only smoke the indicas, because those are more like it's like the relaxing indica in the couch. Like the sativa ones, what I've learned, are like those are the more mental ones, and those are the ones where I'm paranoid and ready to quit my whole life, and I'm like, you're stupid and you're bad. You better not do any. You better just quit everything and move to an island because everybody hates you. And I'm like, what is this? This is not fun or relaxing. Yeah. Oh my God. So we've only got a few minutes left, but I do want to say one more little tidbit about this time, just to back on the being aware of your surroundings. This one time I was at Michael's department store, or not department store, whatever, craft store.
Yes.
Okay. And there was this creepy fucking guy following me around the store, and I kept hearing him go, and I was like, what is this? And then I'd like turn the aisle, and then there he'd be behind me going, and I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's like following me around and moaning. And then I finally like turned back because I kept like sensing him behind me, and then I finally like looked back, and he was, shit you not, jerking off inside of his pants and following me around the store. What the fuck?
God.
What is wrong with these people?
Stop.
I know. And I was so freaked out that I ran out of the store, and I was like, oh, I should have told somebody about it and been like, there's a guy jerking off around the store following women. But it's like, that was the creepiest, scariest thing that when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's where the moaning's coming from. And also, what the fuck is wrong with you that you're like getting off on me looking at picture frames and shit? Dude, that's so creepy.
It is so weird, but something's wrong with him.
Something's
really wrong with him.
Something's wrong with him, dude.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I know.
God.
Never look at Michael's the same again.
I don't know what I would do in that situation.
Yeah.
That is, oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Careful of your surroundings, guys. Don't put yourself in danger.
Yeah.
And that's like still like the shitty part of it, and saying like we have to be accountable for our safety, when it's like, why don't creepy people stop being assholes would be great. But like in the meantime, until all like the weirdos are cured, we can just pay attention. Keep your eyes open.
Until the coronavirus.
Yeah. Oh my God. The coronavirus is not that bad, everybody. Calm down.
The coronavirus, you can only get it if you're a creep. Now.
Yeah. Let's hope. Yeah. So,
Oh my God.
Betsy, is there anything you'd like to promote before we go? Tell us
Oh
your
my
Instagram.
God.
Tell us about your radio show real quick, and then
Yeah, I'm on Dash Radio on Alex Thomas's The Funny Don't Stop every Tuesday from 8 to 9:30 live. You can watch it live on YouTube, and it's on, Apple, iHeartRadio, all platforms. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And then I post all my shows on Instagram at Blingin' Betsy Comedy.
All right.
about
Well, thank you
it.
so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Guys, be aware of your surroundings. Just don't put yourself in those situations. We learned the hard way. All right. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.